One does not have to be Mahatma Gandhi or Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King or anyone else that we may hold up as Jesus, right? That like massive example. I saw recently that there's a teenager that is putting notes on a bridge, little notes on a bridge, standing for love, and to know that she wants people to know that they are loved and that this life is good. And so she's putting notes of encouragement on a bridge. And the police have said that for sure she has already saved 6 lives.
So do you know you're part of our online community? Every time you watch us, you belong to CSL Dallas, and we're so happy that you're part of our community. And we love providing you this kind of spiritual message. So if you want to keep seeing this, please donate. You can donate at csldallas.org/give, or you can text 972-954-4404. Be part of our community and sit back and enjoy the message.
What are we called to be? Well, we're called to be free. We're called to be free. And this month we've been talking about, all month long, the power of freedom. We started off the month talking about the power of freedom and how we can put freedom into use for our own life. And then we took 3 weeks to break down our purpose for being, radically inclusive, spiritually progressive, transforming lives. And within the context of freedom, there is this nice tension between freedom and responsibility. Can you feel the tension? Yeah. Ernest Holmes tells us that freedom is our divine birthright. We're already given it. No matter where we live, no matter when we show up, no matter how we show up when we do in these wonderful zoot suits. Of course, when we showed up, we weren't this big, were we? But divine freedom is our birthright. And because we're born, we have that right to be free. Well, what is freedom? You can find all kinds of definitions about freedom, I'm sure. I brought one with me. It's from the New Thought Dictionary. I very much like this definition of freedom. It says that freedom is a quality or a state of being without thought or restraint, bondage, without limitation or repression. And at the same time, having a sense of complete well-being. Just let that sink in. So it's without any kind of bondage, any kind of repression, any kind of limitation, and at the same time, a sense of complete well-being. And it continues, it is a result of regulating one's life according to principle. Principle. It's talking about spiritual principle, not the one that we might have been sent to when we were young. Spiritual principle, that universal truth that I am present. So living our life according to that. And not, here's the kicker, not according to what anyone else may think or say. So you are, to live our life according to this spiritual principle without allowing anyone or anything outside of us to move us off that. Now, sometimes for me that's challenging because I have at least found out in 5-ish decades that there's at least 1 or 2 people with opinions. Thoughts. What someone thinks I ought to say, not say, do, not do, right? And that's okay, but I'm not to, this says, I'm not to let it sway me from that which is based on and is spiritual principle. Okay? So that's the definition that we're working from today. Now, as humanity continues to wake up to its creative capacity, we continue to wake up to our own and collective creative capacity. And as we continue to wake up to this indwelling power, that's our theme all year, ignite the power within. So it's this indwelling power. The freedom for everyone increases. But we've got to continue to wake up to it, this indwelling power. Even if freedom is our divine birthright, it may not outpicture on the surface of things, right? And so the more that we as humanity wake up to this indwelling power, more freedom is realized. And to continue to dismantle the externalization, that outside of us, that external authority and power. It's a both and. That allows humanity to embrace our divinity. So we have the spiritual, the divine, and the human. Yes? It's a both and. And we have a responsibility to ourselves, especially those of us who know about this indwelling power. Who knows about the indwelling power? Who doesn't? Oh, okay. Especially those of us who know about this indwelling power, it's our responsibility to influence those people around us. To come from that place of principle and to stand for freedom. So there is this tension. There is this tension between freedom and responsibility. And sometimes that tension can feel pretty tight. Sometimes that tension will go, I don't want to step into this. But it's that tension between freedom and responsibility. So when we become aware of this, and in a certain sense, this indwelling power, we become more free. We're actually free. We know that the power is within. We're more free to express that power. We are free to bring that which we want to outpicture in our life from within to without. We are free to have what we want. Ernest Holmes says, we are free to live the life of our choosing as long as we do not harm anything or anyone else. That's really the only sort of rule we have. We can have whatever we want as long as we don't harm anyone else. And so there's this responsibility as we see things around us and we go, well, that's not spiritual principle. That's not universal truth. That's not something that I believe is to be happening right now. We have a responsibility to bring about change. A change that's informed by this greater awareness of the power within and that we all are interconnected, that there's only one thing happening, there's only one body of God, it is oneness, and this body as a thumb can't have its full freedom unless this one does. right? I don't think that it is all that's intended of my life to just sit cross-legged and stay in meditation. Or to pray for myself, to know the truth for myself and not go beyond myself. So there is a responsibility to direct this power within outwards, isn't there? Is there? Yes. And into actions that can help to transform life on this planet, whatever that is for each of us, and to begin to transform it. Whether it's for the planet itself, for someone else that we know and love, we care about, for something in the school systems, whatever it is, we know that we can bring ourselves to something greater than ours, and that we not only can better our own lives, but we know through our consciousness, through our actions, and through our showing up for this freedom that we absolutely can change the lives for everyone else around us. And so by knowing this inner power, this indwelling power, we can recognize that there are two parts of the whole. It's sort of like our breath. We inhale and we exhale. We can't just have one of the halves. So we're inhaling and we just stop. No, we got to inhale and we exhale. And when these two parts are united, then everything is made one. It's in its wholeness. Real freedom is wholeness. Real freedom is wholeness. And so we can be these light bearers. We can be these conscious beings. We are awakened to that which is. No matter where we are in our spiritual journey, we are awake. We either believe this or we don't. And so therefore, we can help put back on the human plane this sense of separateness. And there is a sense of separateness in some places. And we can help bring this sense of separateness, just like we do in our own life, back to a sense of undividedness in the life around us. At whatever context, what moves us. So we can help bring that which is spiritual and true to that which is human and bring it back into unity, which is humanity. Within the word of humanity, there is the word unity. And so we as spiritual beings who know this and know this teaching can assist. I think that's me, isn't it? So I want to talk about a circle of life that is going to be birthed in September. I just want to give you a little notice of it. We have all kinds of circles of life. These are small groups within our community. Many of you are part of circles of life. You get to opt in. You get to say what part you want to participate in. There are affinity circles. So we have a men's circle. We have a women's circle. We have an LGBTQIA circle. We have an African American circle. We have a Spanish-speaking circle. We have an animal circle, people that love animals. We have study groups, empowerment circle that meets on Friday night. They discuss the law of attractions. Let's see, we have a nature circle now where people that want to be out in nature, they want to be in nature and be a part of nature and talk about things as they walk and hike and kayak and all that. So if you don't know about these circles of life, there's a lot of them. There's a spirit at work, entrepreneurs, people that want to bring spirituality in their workplace. So in September, we're going to launch a spiritually motivated, socially engaged circle of life. I'm going to call it short SMSE. But it's spiritually motivated, socially engaged circle of life. I want to tell you a little bit about it. We have a committee just like this at the Centers for Spiritual Living level. And just so happens that Dr. Petra is the chair of the committee, the spiritually motivated, socially engaged. And so you can opt in if you want to. And this SMSE wrote something not too long ago, and they sent it out to all the ministers in our denomination, and it says, in the midst of what may feel like a bombardment of conditions all around us in the world, we are called to bring our compassionate hearts and our conscious actions to the world, because the world is crying out in pain. This is a massive challenge, but who is better equipped to meet this challenge than someone steeped in science and mind? We are equipped for this. With so many issues taking place in today's times, there is a call to change the paradigms from which we human beings live and share our love, light, planet, and resources. There is an ever-increasing call for us to speak out and stand up for our global vision. And as spiritually progressive communities, we're called to speak out, stand up, and more than that, we must engage. We know that our teaching, the science mind, tells us that we do not refuse to look at conditions, but neither do we dwell on them. Our current conditions are a result of past thinking. That's the good news. Anything that's currently going on in this world that may not be standing on spiritual principle is a result of past thinking. That's the good news. So we can change this. We are causal. Either individually or collectively, we are causal. So we see the condition and turn our minds to a greater spiritual truth and declare that greater truth to become manifest. We also know that there are times that we must do more than spiritual mind treatment. What is affirmative prayer. And we must move our feet and engage with the world around us. And these are such times. So the purpose of this circle, for you to know, is to provide spiritual guidance and active support as we collectively engage with the issues of today. We seek to illuminate the interconnectedness of us as spiritual beings and our human conditions, regardless of the story. We seek to declare unceasingly the dignity of each individual and claim spiritual light as the truth and guide for humanity. So spiritual truth, spiritual principles, that is the guide for humanity. And so we're committed, this group, the mission is, we're committed to engage in the issues of the day, to show up and stand for love, to stand for freedom, and to stand as love, and to stand as freedom, and to create a world that works for everyone. We know the truth that we are spiritual beings expressing and creating in this human experience. And we also know, and we say this all the time, that we know that no matter what, good must come of it. No matter what is going on, good must come of it. I believe that this is important for us as a community. And so we're going to have a separate circle. If you're interested, you get to email me that you're interested. There'll be a sign-up table the first Sunday in September. There'll be various things and workshops and conversations that we can have with one another to better understand one another in this community. We've said this before. If not here, where? We are a very diverse community. We're radically inclusive, and we're spiritually progressive. And because we're in this community, our lives are being transformed, and we are realizing and waking up in our own individualized expression what this is for us, and the joy and the love and the hope of our transformation in our own lives. And collectively, we know we can make a huge difference in this community, in this city, in this state, in this country, and in the world. Can I get another amen? There's so many acts of love and courage and people standing for freedom already. That's the great news. I see them all the time. They inspire me to have the courage to do what I do. I imagine it encourages you. I mean, there are so many examples. So one does not have to be Mahatma Gandhi or Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King or anyone else that we may hold up as Jesus, right? That like massive example. I saw recently that there's a teenager that is putting notes on a bridge, little notes on a bridge, standing for love, and to know that she wants people to know that they are loved and that this life is good. And so she's putting notes of encouragement on a bridge. And the police have said that for sure she has already saved 6 lives. Because 6 people, because of reading her notes, decided not to jump. That inspires me. We can stand for love. We can stand for freedom. And Ernest Holmes backs us up on this. He says, "But faith without works is dead." We should not only pray, we should act, each contributing to the best he or she has to a common purpose, each willing to make any sacrifice necessary. One, in a certain sense, a selfish one. It's okay to be selfish. For we all desire self-preservation, but the other in the greater sense than that there can be no individual self-preservation without preservation of all. So we know that whatever is happening to someone else is happening to me. We're not separate. And so this is an opportunity for our community to come together and have opportunities to take a stand for love, take a stand for freedom, be engaged out in the world. Again, we've had some workshops. It's good to have some more. So we have a dialogue circle. That's another circle of life that I really want to tell you about. They'll have openings again in September. It's limited to, I believe, 30 people. And it's an opportunity to listen to people in this community and hear perspectives from where they come from. I'm in the circle currently. It's a powerful, powerful process. I invite you to get in that circle. Freedom is inseparable from responsibility. We have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to think. How am I thinking about someone else? How am I thinking about a certain group of people? How am I thinking about a potential topic? How am I thinking? Am I thinking towards freedom? Am I thinking towards love? Am I thinking towards lifting that group of people up? Or am I not? We have a responsibility to speak up. When we're out in our daily lives, am I speaking up when there's some kind of repression or any kind of bondage or any kind of limitation being attempted to be put on someone else? Well, that's a limitation being put on ourselves right then and there. So am I willing to speak up? And am I willing to engage and act with my actions? I love one of our sayings we are moving, and what we hold a vision for is a world that works for everyone and a life that works for me. It can't be separate. It's all intertwined. Ernest Holmes tells us that until complete freedom is here for everyone, he says, allowed complete freedom so long as we do not in our freedom impose bondage on someone else. And I liken what he says, and he teaches us from a science of mind perspective, is what Dr. Martin Luther King says, and he said it a lot. Yes, freedom is our divine birthright. It's ours, but it's not just mine. It's every single solitary person and sentient being. And no one is free until everyone is free. And I know that we get to see in a greater way. Thank God, free at last in our lifetime. And so what can we do? Don't pass up those moments to take responsibility for the freedom of someone else. Speak up. Stand with them. Call someone. If you don't know what to do, call a practitioner, call a minister. This happened. Recently, one of our newest members who just stood up here had an opportunity with her chiropractor. The chiropractor said something that absolutely was not okay. Not okay in her mind. And she found her voice, and she spoke up, and she said, "This is not okay." And she went with her heart thumping, palms sweaty, wrote a letter to the State Board of Chiropractors and shared what the chiropractor said. And said, "This is not okay." That brings more freedom for us right here and right now. And we can all do our own parts. Are you willing to take responsibility for your freedom and for mine? Yes. Good. Let us pray. Before we do, I want to invite you, because I'm going to forget if I don't right now, this write-up of the Spiritually Motivated, Socially Engaged New Circle of Life. If you're interested in it, when you leave, you can ask one of the greeters for it. Okay? Thank God. Thank God. Free at last. This one life, this one power, this one presence is free. This one love, this one power knows no bondage, no limitation, no repression. It is that which unabashedly gives freely to itself, gives fully to itself, stands up as itself, stands within itself, unfolds and expresses itself, and it does that without holding anything back. And so all of life gets to show up in its state of divine right action and divine right order and the freedom of life itself. From the galaxies to the planets to this Mother Earth to all of the individualized expression showing up as it, all sentient beings. And as we know that God is this love, this freedom, this divinity, we know that each one of us is that as well. There is no separation in this life. It is the one body of God, and we are the micro of the macro. And so I know that in this moment, we hear the call of another expression saying, I'm here, see me. I'm here, help me. I'm here, be with me. And we bring ourselves forward through our thoughts, through our words, through our actions, knowing that there is a responsibility in this freedom of life expressing itself. We stand with one another. We stand for love. We let any thoughts, any considerations that there is some other outside of us, no matter what the actions or anything that's happening on the human realm, we are all one, and we let go of those thoughts. Thoughts that condemn, thoughts that separate, thoughts that diminish. We let them loose, we let them drop, for we are one big family. Just as we are a family in this community, we are a family in the humanity, the unity of this community known as Earth. And so we take a stand at any moment that we're called to be love, to stand in that power, for it is an irresistible sweep where nothing, no one, and no thing can stand against it. And as we be that love and we stand for that love, there is freedom to be, freedom to love, freedom to laugh, freedom to have joy, freedom to experience all that life has to offer each of us on this human plane. And so in this moment, each of us in our own way takes a stand for that love and takes a stand to be that love and to be that light for ourselves and each other. And oh, how grateful I am for this community, CSLDallas, because we keep striving, we keep reaching, we keep standing, we hold that vision for a world that works for everyone and a life that works for me. By showing up and allowing our lives to be transformed. And so how good it is that we, as a community, take a stand for this love. We let it be. We let it loose. We let it go. And if you agree in anything I've said, I invite you to say Ashe, Aho, Amin, Amen, and so it is. Thank you, Scott. Yay.